right, Meepletown, we are back.
Here we go, baby.
Or if you are joining us on the YouTubes, you are here for the first time. You missed the first part, but we're actually doing a little joint action between the podcast and the YouTubes.
Because it is our top 50 of 2021. Oh, yeah.
Is that a clap? Is that your...
No, that was when John Ralphio
rain?
And Tom Haverford were doing that presentation.
Okay. All right. So we are doing things a little bit differently. We've done this before, but just so you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, know that we're also recording for the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, know this is on YouTube, and we're actually showing screenshots of the game on there. And so if we're making reference, we're going to try to make it appealing to both listeners and viewers. However, we might make some mistakes there, and we might point out things that you just can't see.
How about that?
Because you're listening, so I apologize for that.
There you go. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't seen I guess you don't see podcasts, do you? You can.
You see the screen.
If you're streaming. If you haven't listened to our podcast, you can go to meepletown.podbean.com, or we're on iTunes or Spotify, Google Play. We're on all that stuff. Just search Meepletown and you can check out our podcast and hear the nonsense that we talked about before we got to this point. Dean, here we go. The big moment. 50 to 41. Are you ready to reveal to the world? I mean, no pressure, but the world is waiting to hear what your number 50 is.
Yes, I am totally ready. However,
a
caveat.
Oh, boy.
I want to talk about a little bit my process before we get started, John. I know you got the hype all built up, but just know, in my process, I'm like, what are the games that I really want to play right now more than anything else? So you might hear my number 50 pick and think, oh, man, this guy's on the new hypeness list, right? Like he's on the hype boat. He's on the hype train. Well,
on the hype boat would be a better...
That might be
phrase for this pick.
That might be correct. But this is our most recent review on the podcast.
This is how this guy is. All you have to do is give him a game that has incredible components, and it's a new game. He's on the hype boat, and he's sailing down the river. Lord knows where he's going. Where it ends, no one knows.
Meepletown is where he's going. All right. We're going to Merchant's Cove for my number 50 pick. Merchant's Cove is a new game. The newest game on my list, easily.
That is incredible that you put that at number 50. No, nothing against Merchant Cove, but incredible that you've liked a game so much, Dean, that within a month's time, it has gone into your top 50.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
But I will say there's another game that I've played recently, and I've only played once, and it made it higher on my top 50. That's how hype I am in that game. This game, I've played a bunch. I've played this game a lot over the past, month and a half, however long
And you do like the components.
I do like the components, but that's not the only reason I'm making this pick, John. I like the game because the way a lot of the interaction happens with the boats, I really enjoy that piece of it. I like
that too.
I like mid-weight asymmetrical games that feel a little thematic. Some people might say this is not thematic at all. I think it is. I think you're making wares and you're selling thematic. Them.
I'm not going to say overly thematic.
No.
But for a Euro game, it feels a little bit thematic.
Yeah, it definitely does. So anyway, I've really enjoyed my plays of this, and I know that this one's going to stay in my collection for a long time. Can't wait to see new factions come out and see how this game evolves. For some people, it might be too light. For me, it's right in my wheelhouse. Love this game. That is Merchant's Cove.
I enjoyed it as well. I like what you said. I like the way that the boat, that stuff interacts a lot. Like when tactically to decide to put someone into a boat, where to put them in the boat. Am I doing it too early in the round? Now Dean can put all his green build a bunch of green wares up because he knows that there's going to be green things that are going to come out, or that they're going to be buying that, and it's going to be multiplied times 3. And if you've never played this game, you don't know what I'm talking about. But for all those reasons, I do enjoy this game as well. Hey, look,
we did a video for this. We had it on our most recent
picture
podcast.
of Johnny Pack here on the the YouTubes.
That's right, one of the designers. So anyway, I really like this game. Don't just hear this if you hate this game. Don't hear it and say, oh, I'm shutting him down, because I've got some picks that you might like, but I just think this game is really well done, and I love it.
It sounds to me like you're pandering over there.
I'm not pandering. I'm just saying
you are.
Don't discount me if you don't like this game.
All right, that's your number 50. My number 50 is a game that came out in 2019, I believe. I pulled it up right here, and that is a Daniele Ticini game, and that is Trismegistus, the Ultimate Formula. I know Dean, he looks at this and he's thinking, oh my gosh, this is a fairly heavy game. and it's about becoming the greatest alchemist, and you're converting this to that and to that to this, and it's a dice drafting game. And I'm gonna tell you something, it's a crunchy, puzzly game that does feel pretty darn heavy, that you've got to be the most efficient at this game. I'm showing some pictures here.
Is this game thematic, John?
Not at all. I don't feel like I'm an alchemist at all. No, I don't. But I do think that like the board and stuff looks really cool, and I like the art a whole lot on this game. But do I care about the art? Yes and no. Like, if the art's bad, it can still be in my top 10. I don't care. But it is really nice when the art is really good in this game. And if you've been a Daniele Tassini fan at all and you haven't played this, I haven't heard as much hype around this game. This game is really good. It is extremely good. Look at that. Pick which dice you want, Dean. Pick which dice from the bowl you want, huh? What do you want?
I don't.
You tell me right now.
John said,
look at this
really
track.
Need to
You
try
have
this
tracks
game.
to go up, Dean. You have tracks. You have 4 tracks. How
John
about
says,
that?
Dean, you really need to try this game. You're going to love this one. Oof. John does not know me at all. This is not in my wheelhouse at all. I might really like it, but I'd be surprised if I do.
Yeah, it's one that it snuck into my top 50. It's kind of surprising. I was like, whoa, hey guy, I didn't even realize you were there.
He's a guy standing in the corner when you walk in the room.
And I was like, wow,
oh, man.
Yeah. And then this year he snuck back in again. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And it snuck in at number 50. So.
And you put him on your list. See, that guy, I send him out of my house. I said, get out of here. I don't want you here. You're not going to make my top 50 list when you're creeping like that.
You do that to people.
Yeah.
That's what he says to me every time I come into his house.
Every time I walk in the room and John's hiding in the corner waiting, eating popcorn, just waiting to say something. John's number 49, Trismegistus.
That is my number 50, so.
Yep, 50.
What's your number 40?
This is bad when we mess it up right off the bat.
No, don't include me in this. You messed it up right off the bat. All right, what's your number 49?
49 for me is a game that you didn't love. You didn't hate either. It is.
No, it's fine.
Caylus 1303. This was a remake of Caylus, obviously, a game that came out back in the day. I don't know when Caylus came out, but this is a pretty basic worker placement. But the thing I really like about it, you're going to see a lot of worker placement on my list, by the way.
Yeah, you really like worker placement.
The thing I like about this is, one, you're building your own spots, so like the game changes every time you play.
It does.
But also, there's a lot of interaction. I would even say meanness in this game. There's a lot of meanness in this game.
Absolutely.
Because if you put your worker towards the end of the trail and somebody takes that... What is he called? The provost?
The provost. There's a provost right there. I'm pulling it up on the YouTube
provost
right now.
back. Well, guess what? You don't get to take that worker placement action. You just wasted a worker. Some people will hate that. I think a lot of people will hate that. But there are a lot of people who love this game.
Yeah.
I like it. I love it.
It creates high player interaction.
It really does.
There's a lot of high player interaction in this game.
And you'll see that. That's something I like a lot when I play games. High player interaction. And it also has player powers, which I think it adds a lot to that as well.
And that can be mean too, right? Because you can steal other people's player powers.
Yes,
like
and
if
you
they
can have multiple
oh man, I got
player
this, and you
powers,
take it from them. Oh my gosh. But I like the player powers as well. So yeah, it's a fun game. It was just one for me that didn't, for whatever reason, I've never played the original Caylus, and I want to. But for whatever reason, it didn't just pop for me. I just felt like that's a solid midweight Euro.
You think you would like the original better?
Maybe.
Is that okay?
The people that I tend to agree with, like we tend to have the same tastes in games. Several of them I know like the original better. So
okay.
I don't know though. I've never played it, so that's just theorem. That's your number. Let me show you. Let me help you out here. That is number
49.
Your number 49.
I got it that time.
All right, so
I can count backwards.
My number 49 is a game that just brings me comfort. It's a homey game. You know what that game is, Dean? Village.
Love this game.
Dean is disappointed that this game is on my list and is not on his. I just spoiled it.
I really did just say that.
Yeah,
before the podcast.
He really likes this game, and for some reason, it didn't get into. Look at this picture of the person dead in their grave. For those on the podcast, that's an interesting part about Village. There's a couple things I like about it. Number one, I like how your players die because it gives those interesting decisions of, I know this player is probably going to die. How can I get the best use out of them right now? You know, and then as they get older, because you have to get rid of the players, you know, there's numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Are there 5s? I can't remember. You have to get rid of all your number 1s before you get to your number 2s and so forth and so on. And so there's interesting decisions of where to place these people out on the board, where to place them because of that. All that is really, really cool in this game. But also what I really enjoy about Village, let me see if I can get some better picks for those who are on the YouTubes over here. It's just a lot of pictures of player boards. There we go. There's actual. Everyone tends to take pictures of dead people.
I mean, that's
there's a travel board there. But yeah, I mean, actually, I say that, but I just posted on Twitter a picture of just the dead people. I just want to get a picture of the cubes. There we go. That's much better. Another piece that I really like about this game is the cube, the way they work, right? When you want to take an action, there's cubes on the actions. You have to have a cube to be able to pick it up, unless there's another action that lets you do it. But when you pick it up, it's going to be a resource, right, Dean? So, like, you have those kind of interesting decisions. If I want to go here, but I really want that pink cube. So do I go over there and take that action, even though I don't love it, just because I have to get that pink cube and make it work for me? Or do I just go here because I really want to do this action? I like that.
Yeah.
You?
Oh, yeah.
Those are the two things that I really enjoy about the game a lot. Played it again fairly recently and just thought, you know what? Solid, mid-weight, kind of lighter, I would say, wouldn't you? On the mid, weight Euro. It's like, I think it's about a 3, so it's not even towards the heaviness or whatever. Nice, solid, mid-weight Euro. Brings me comfort. When did this game come out? Let's pull this
2011.
Yeah.
Same time as, I thought there was another
Inca
game
and
we
Marcus
just talked
Brand,
about.
who do really great games. And so, yeah, I like Village. So number 49 for me, Village.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite games to play with my wife for sure. I really enjoy that one. It is kind of morbid when you talk about it that way. Let me work these people to death. I'm going to take as much advantage of them as I can, and then send them to the grave, like they're not even people.
That's exactly what happens.
That's quite the theme there, isn't it?
It is. There we go.
Maracaibo.
Boom.
Is also quite the theme, eh?
Hey, this is ranked 36 overall, 22 in the strategy game. So, hey, you know what? Should I go back real quick, Dean? Let's just hit this over. Hit this up really quick. Hit this over, because I think this is interesting. So, Merchant's Cove is 1650 overall. Okay. That's not a bad start at all.
No.
That's a good start.
Well, look at the rating too. What is the rating on that?
7.9. Yeah. These are the BGG ratings if you're listening on the podcast. Trismegistus is 747 overall. I bet you're surprised by that. That it's in the top 1,000. It's a really good game.
Oh no, I'm actually surprised it's not higher.
Yeah.
People love that game, but I think it's just on the heavier end.
I also think that it's I don't know if it's as broad of appeal for other folks. It's actually higher ranked than Caylus 1303 that Dean talked about, which is 1,000 overall.
What is Caylus though? That's
much higher,
really
super
high. Yeah.
And then Village would be our highest so far before Dean's Maracaibo at 168 overall. Now we're back to Maracaibo, 8.3 rating. 2019 has soared in these charts, man.
Yeah,
36.
For sure. So in Maracaibo, this is an Alexander Pfister game. This is set in the Caribbean during the 17th century. You're going to be going around the board, taking actions at the different spots. And if you've ever played Great Western Trail, it's similar to that. Not exactly. So Great Western Trail, you just keep soaring around the board. In Maracaibo, you're going to get to a point where you stop, and then you're going to all start together. But that's the gist of it. You're just going around the board. But the thing I really like about Maracaibo is that the game changes every time. There's like a story element to it where you can add different cards, different tiles, and things like that to the game. There is some area majority in this game where you're getting points for controlling these different areas. There's lots of different cool things going on. This game did drop for me a little bit, and I'll go ahead and say Great Western Trail is not on my top 50.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And if you didn't get turned off, actually, I don't want to. Merchant's Cove is a good game. Anyways, you were just like trying to like tell the crowd like, hey, for some reason you're not going to like that up at Merchant's Cove. Now they're going to be like, and on top of that, you don't have Great Western Trail. This video is over.
I sir, will not say anything bad about your list.
I didn't say anything about your list. I'm glad that Merchant's Cove's on your list, and I'm glad that this is on your list. I am going to say one thing bad about your list. It's hot garbage if you don't have Great Western Trail.
I can find some bad things to say about yours too. Really love Great Western Trail. It's just top 50 out of how many games that we've played? A lot of games, right? So 50 is really good if you make it in there at all. Great Western Trail, I think, is probably top 60, top 70, somewhere around there. It was just outside this list, and it's been
the
on.
The card plays really good in this game.
Yeah.
Really
that's what I was gonna say. It really kind of makes it like for me. You put your cards out. You're gonna build your cards, and some of those cards will allow you to put agents on the different islands. And then when you go to that island, you can take that action instead of taking the actions that are there. I think that's so cool. I think and again, that feels kind of thematic. Yeah, set collection from the different tokens that you're getting as well, and you can get points based on what cards you have in play. There's just so much to like about this game. It's got a decent amount going on. This is a 3.89 weight, which for me is, kind of on that higher end typically. Anything over 4 is often not going to be something that I'm just like super excited about. So Maracaibo, my number 38.
Yeah, so weirdly, let me just make sure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
when
7,
I say 38, I mean
8,
48.
9, everyone's listening. 10. I screwed it up, and Maracaibo somehow fell off my list just on accident.
Oh.
So my number 50 is Maracaibo, or number 49. So it's not going to show up as one of those, but it is in my top 50 in my head.
What does that even mean?
I'm just telling you that it is. I have to give credit to this game. It's a fantastic game.
Maracaibo's your number 50?
Something like that, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't, who knows?
Your number 50 was already said.
Yeah, I know.
Trismegistus.
Yeah, well, this just replaced it.
Have you ever done a list before?
Yeah.
You know how lists work?
Uh-huh.
That's not how it works.
Uh-huh.
Well,
We'll have it zoom in and go, new 50, breaking news. I changed it in the middle of this thing. How about that?
We did a little bit of that last year with your list too, I think.
I did have a mess up. At the end, I was moving a lot of things around, and I guess it fell off somehow, and I don't know how that happened. Anyway, so that
48.
That was your 48.
Maracaibo.
My number 48 is I have 2 games this last year from 2020 that jumped into my top 50. I talked about Dean, how we talked about how quickly Merchant's Cove soared, even Maracaibo soaring up pretty high, just being a 2019 game. I've got a 2020 game in here, y'all. Renature. Are you surprised by that, Dean?
When you say surprise, I'm surprised it's not higher, honestly.
Wow, okay.
As much as you talked about this game and hyped it up, I really thought you were going to have
top
a higher.
Top 50 is amazing games.
No, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, like, if you would have said, is Renature going to make my top 50? I would say, yeah, probably your top, 30, maybe.
Yeah. So this is a Kiesling Kramer game. It just came out, and I just had 2 games back-to-back that feel like a warm bowl of pudding.
Okay.
Bread pudding. Like your grandma just brought you into the kitchen, and like that's how this game feels to me. You're placing dominoes and you're doing area majority, and it's weighted at 2.14. It's a fairly simple game to teach. This is why I like it so much. It plays relatively quick, 45 to 60 minutes. The weight is around 2, and you get these cool feels of like, everyone has, not everyone, a lot of people have good feels from when they used to play dominoes, right?
Yeah.
And some people still play dominoes and really enjoy it. My wife's family still plays Mexican train dominoes sometimes. And I mean, it's okay, but they're having a good time. I like it okay. And we can have some talk back and forth. It kind of has those feels. And yet then you add this cool, super typical Kiesling Kramer in a good way, area majority thing going on. And it's such a good package. It's such a fantastic package. This game is absolutely fantastic. They just killed it with this game this year. Who knows? It may even rise. I just got to play it even more. There we go. How about that, Dean?
Fun game.
48.
That's a good picture.
Renature.
I know people can't see it on the podcast either. That's a cool picture you're showing right now. I like that.
Dude, did you see these pictures right here?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
I know you don't pay attention. Someone took a bunch of dominoes and put them in places like owls and trees.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
All right.
And it is pretty nice, huh?
That's a
Look
good
at
idea.
That. They got that bird. It's a woodpecker pecking on the tree.
That's clever.
Right next to it. Yeah, it's very clever.
Good radio.
Ganz schön clever.
Good radio. All right, my number 47 is Grand Austria Hotel.
How dare you, my child?
I guarantee this is on your list.
Oh, dude, it is way higher on my list.
I assume so. We don't have to talk about it a ton then, but Grand Austria Hotel at its heart is a dice drafting game, so you're going to
Do you dress like a butler whenever you play it, like this picture that I'm pulling up on the...
I don't appreciate you interrupting me like that. All right, so you're drafting dice and taking the actions based on where those dice are, and if there's more dice in one location, you'll be able to take more actions. So if I take I think it's number 4 that gives you money. Oh, goodness. I'm not looking at the board, but...
I have it right here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, number 4. If you take 2 of the 4 dice, that's going to give you $1 for each of those dice that you take. And that's the crux of the game. Then you're going to be hiring your staff. That's going to help you get boosts. You're going to be putting guests into the rooms. And that's really how you're going to get a lot of the points. But as you're putting guests into the room, you're also gaining bonuses for those clumps of rooms that you're filling up per the color of the
clumps
type of room.
Rooms? I don't know if I've ever heard someone use that phraseology in my life.
Yeah, clumps of rooms.
Clumps of rooms. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's a common phrase.
There we go. Those are the pictures of the rooms right
Maybe
there.
not so common. But anyway, I really, really enjoy this game.
Oh, it's so good.
John got me onto this game, and I thought I might like this game, but I didn't know how much I was really going to love it. And so I've actually played, I've mentioned Steve O'Rourke on the show several times, and he and I have played it with other people, other friends on Yucatan. We've played that several times on there. It's just a really fun game. I like it a lot.
It's a nice, like, solid midweight Euro, not overly thinky, but just really fun. The card plays brilliant. I'll talk about it more when I get to it way up my list.
Yep.
Number 47, Grand Austria
It's also
Hotel.
a tight game. I didn't mention that, but like the money's really tight in this game.
Oh,
Resources are tight, which I like that.
If you're garbage at it, it is.
John's got lots of money in this game, but for me,
Not really.
I'm just like, can I borrow $1? He's like, no, get out of my face.
There you go.
All right.
All right, so that's your number 47. My number 47, and by the way, that is ranked 83 overall. So
right.
Another really highly ranked game. I know that my number 47 is going to be really highly ranked, and that is an oldie but a goodie 1997 game, Tigris and Euphrates by Rainer Knizia. So sometimes I like Knizia games, Dean.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yep.
Is
this your only one of his on your list?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Ranked 95 overall. Tigris and Euphrates is a deadgum fun bloodbath. Kind of. Yeah. You're putting these things onto the board. Here's the things I like about it. So you're putting out your pieces onto the board. You're sending out Dean's going to get mad at me because I don't know the names of the warriors and what's the red and what's the black and all that stuff. I don't know. I just call it the
I don't
green.
know what they are in this game either.
I just call it the green. But you're putting them out onto the board, and it ends up, there's all these epic moments where, like, and I'm leaving this on the screen for y'all, whenever your kingdom, goodness gracious, is close to another person's kingdom, and boom, someone adds that unification tile, and you go to war. And I think that can be really, really fun. And in this game, you're giving up. You're counting up how many tiles you have, and then you're giving up tiles behind your screen. So it's kind of like Blood Rage or one of those games, right, Dean, where you're just like, I don't know what they have. Oh, how much should I bet or whatever? And you throw it down there. But what I like about this game the best, I think, the gameplay is really fun, but it's the fact that the way the game scores. At the end of the game, your highest score is the color you have the least of. So in this game, you can't just go, I'm going to get all of the red cubes in the game and just dominate that way. If you do that, you lose because you have 0 blue cubes.
Here's what I think, John. You ready for this?
I think you will like this.
You described this game as a
Settlement
bloodbath.
Temple Farm Market.
You described it as a bloodbath. You described it as Blood Rage-esque. You almost made it sound like it's this really epic game, right? Here's the thing. You're like that vacuum cleaner salesman that really pumps up the vacuum, but it doesn't actually pick anything up.
Because you don't think that it's that epic of a game. You think it's more like Chessy or something like that.
Yeah, it's not a bloodbath. It's not Blood Rage. It's fine. I mean, I'm sure it's a great. I've only played the app version, so it's not like I'm dissing the game. It's just I think you're overselling what it is. What
I mean by bloodbath is like you're fighting against each other. Like you're like, oh, dude, they just took out a ton of my kingdom. Like that's it. Like I'm sweating and I'm dripping blood. I'm bleeding all over the place. This is what happens. The reason I say that is because people have gotten knives thrown at them in the middle of a game.
Maybe I played online, so I never had knives thrown at me through the screen. So
Last game I
probably
played,
why.
Someone broke a beer bottle over the side of the table and put it in my face.
Wow, you're playing with the
said,
wrong
if you
people.
do this again, I'm going to cut you.
Wow.
And I said, come on, make my day, bro.
And then he moved the cube.
No, I grabbed it, and I went around his head like this. I said, if you want to say this again, I could do it. I'm not a violent man. But don't mess with me, Johnny Jitsu.
Johnny Jitsu. All right, Johnny Jitsu, let's get to a real thematic game, one with real blood and real violence.
Okay.
And real zombies. Ready? Zombicide. We pulled up Zombicide Black Plague, but honestly, any of the variations, just depending on which one really floats your boat. I really have enjoyed the Zombicide Black Plague, but the original Zombicide First Edition is the one that really got me hooked. Basically, what you're doing is
paint your version, by the way.
That might be my painted version.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Okay,
that's much better than mine. I did paint my version though, just the base game. But in this game, you are taking on the role of a character, and in the Black Plague version of this, you're taking on like all these different, wizards and dwarfs and all that sort of thing. Zombicide, you're just taking on regular, average Joe's. Johnny Jitsu might be in the game.
Yeah.
And you're collecting weapons, and each mission that you go on is going to have a different a different thing you need to do to win the game. So I might need to go like collect this item and bring it and be able to leave the board, something along those lines, okay? But the biggest part of the game is you're killing all these different hordes of zombies, and sometimes they get huge and sometimes it gets really intense. When you go into buildings, you need to collect items, and those are going to allow you to roll more dice. So like if I have a chainsaw, it's going to let me roll more dice than like just a regular pistol or something like that. But I have to be closer to be able to use a chainsaw. I just love the feel of this game. Now, it's not like I'm looking for these super in-depth mechanics in this game. What I'm looking for is a really good time.
Hooting and hollering.
A game that brings out story and just one that we can laugh and have a really good time with. And this game is just so fun.
And fantastic
with the
components.
Simplicity of it. Yeah, it does have fantastic components. And
wow,
I did,
look at
again,
those
I painted
walls.
up my version of the game.
Yeah, like I'm trying to show pictures of the board and stuff, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time because everyone
There's
just
so
wants to
many
show
zombies.
they want to show their minis and how they painted them.
Well, sometimes it's hard to see the board because you get so many zombies on there.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Look how boring that looks without the paint. That's all of my miniature games, which are like 3.
I don't paint all my games. And in fact, if I
I
painted
like to paint
all
a
my
lot. I just
Zombicide
don't
stuff,
like to paint.
oh boy, it would take me a long time.
All right, that is your number 46. Is that right, Dean?
Zombicide variations.
All right, my number 46 will be my first and not my last Stefan Feld game that shows up on my list. How about this, Dean? In the year of the speaking of incredible components, in the year of the dragon.
Wrong.
Stellar.
False.
I mean, through the roof. I have never seen cardboard pieces as thin as they can make them in this game. It was like an art to it.
Are those metal coins? Does it have metal coins?
No.
Okay,
Someone got metal coins. Not
I've only played
game.
the online version, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so this game is basically Stefan Feld, the disaster game. It's the feed your worker game from Hades. Like but here's the difference in this and some other ones. Whenever you're feeding your workers in some games, you don't know exactly how much you're going to have to feed them and different things. This is not that hard to do. In this game, you know every disaster that's going to happen, if you see on the bottom of this board, before it happens. You know every round what's going to happen. So you have rounds to prepare, and guess what? You can stop it. It's not that difficult, but what might happen is you might not score any points. You got to be a little risky in this game.
Yeah.
Because whenever you can't, pay your taxes or different things, you may end up losing the people inside your houses, temples. I don't even know what it's called. Buildings. Maybe it's just called buildings that you have like right here. And this game is really tight. It's a super tight game. Resources are incredibly tight. There's all kinds of disasters going on, which are really tight. And for me, it is that bend me over and spank me game that I love.
What?
That's exactly right.
What?
Sometimes it hurts a little, and it feels good when it does.
Oh, no. Nope.
And
not
that's
the
what
best way to describe this game.
And that's what this game is.
It is a weird thing. Like, hey,
you like this game.
Let me sell you on this game. In this game, you feed your workers and you pay taxes. How cool does that sound? I do like this game. I definitely don't love this game. It's towards the bottom of my Feld favorites, but that's not a bad thing. Like, Feld is possibly my favorite designer, so I did like this game.
It's really unique. It's a unique design, right?
Crazy though.
When you say this is I think one thing I like about this so much is it's definitely a unique design for Feld. Yes, there are some mechanics I see in other games, but it feels a lot different than his other ones. And that doesn't mean different doesn't mean better. But in this situation, I just really like when I really want to play a game that's going to like be this big puzzly challenge for me. I want to pull out In the Year of the Dragon and see if I can beat the challenge a little better than my opponent.
Yeah.
And whenever you do, and you do super well, it feels so good in this game. But whenever you don't, and you mess it up, you're like, I never want to play this game again. No, I'm just kidding.
But really. I'm going to put it in my top 50.
That's it. That's my number 46, In the Year of the Dragon.
All right, my number 45 is a game that will for sure be on John's list, and that is Concordia. Concordia is ranked...
Are you kidding? Here we go again. How can a game like this be so low on your list? Number 18 overall.
I might be willing to say, you're right, John, had you not just picked In the Year of the Dragon as your top 50 game.
Overall, Zombicide Black Plague is 185. In the Year of the Dragon, though he's over here making fun of it, is 310 overall.
Yeah.
A lot of people like this game. Concordia is number 18 overall. How dare you put it this place?
Concordia is kind of a weird thing. On all these games,
The only weird thing is why it's 45 on your list.
Had I just played Concordia, it probably would be higher. I mean, that's the reality of doing these lists, right? Like, if it's a game that you like and it's a game that you just play, you might rank it a little higher than one you haven't played in a while. But
it's really hard to rate games that you haven't played, and some of them are on our list in over a year.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you go back and you're like, man, that wasn't as good. Sometimes you go back and go, wow, that is fantastic. I played this recently, 2v2, and it was fantastic. So
no, I have not played Concordia Venus, and I'd really like to do that. I think I said all those words
when
wrong.
Concordia has a baby, it's called a Vetus.
So anyway, in Concordia, you are kind of deck building. I mean, it is. It's a deck building in this game, but it's also moving your ship and moving your person around and building different buildings onto the board. Your cards are interesting because that's how you're going to take your actions, but it's also how you're going to get your points at the end of the game. So you want to take those cards that are going to give you good actions, but also you want to kind of build your engine around how you're going to get those points from the cards. And that's, I want to say it's unique. It is unique. Like, not multi-use cards necessarily, but how they do it in this game, I think, is pretty unique. And it is, and it's described as an elegant game very often, and I totally agree with that. I think it very much is. Probably this game would be higher if I played Venus, but I've not played it. And if I played it yesterday, I might have it rated higher too.
Yep.
Ranked higher.
Dean introduced me to this game.
I did, yeah.
You introduced me to my love of my life. One of the loves of my life.
Oh, my.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
No, it's fine to have that kind of intimate relationship with your board games.
With multiple board games. That's the problem.
Okay.
I love this game. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I would like to.
Because it's your favorite game of all time.
Who knows? Maybe it is. Number 45, Concordia for Dini, right?
Yep.
My number 45 is an oldie but a goodie, and that is Seven Wonders. Speaking of highly ranked games, it is ranked 42nd overall. This was a harder one for me this year, Dean, and I don't know what it is, but I haven't been like super wanting to play this game, and that kind of goes back to what you said about like, man, I agree with you. Like, I'm trying to pick games here. have been that I'm just really excited about playing, but this game is just such a classic game. This ends up being one of those games where like I don't get excited about playing it, and then I play it, and I'm like, why don't I play this more?
Yeah.
Like almost every time. Because this game is just pure, just simple, fun, drafting game, right? You're just drafting a card, you're placing it. And I wouldn't say all the decisions, some of the decisions are really grueling and very difficult and stuff like that. But I like not only that it's a card drafting game, but that it really, I think the player interaction is really important in this game. You have the battles that you're watching what other people are drafting in this game big time, because if they're taking all the science and technology, you might be like, oh, do I back down off of that? Because I see that these players have taken them. I really need those. And so that kind of like push my luck. Are those still in the deck? Are there going to be more? How's this going to happen when it gets back around to me? Will I have a chance for another one? Oh, no, I don't. Or, oh, yes, I do. And yay, ha. It's just a classic, incredible game. I think the highest drafting game, the only drafting game on my list, like pure drafting game. I think. Don't hold me to that, but I think it is, and it's fantastic.
Yep, great game. You might hear about that one from me later on. All right, my number, where are we at right now, John?
44.
44. My number 44 is The Lord of the Rings: Journeys in Middle-earth.
Wow, this is rated really high. I'm stunned. It's ranked 91 overall.
Yeah.
I've never played it. I didn't know people liked it as much that high. Okay.
Yeah, it is an app-driven game. It's a miniatures game too. This is a fantasy flight game, but basically you are going on these different adventures. The app kind of helps you along to show you like, I want to explore a location. Then you do that in the app, and then it changes things on the board and all that. And they got the story, flavor with it. The card play is what's interesting because the story flavor text. So the cards are interesting in that the battle system and how that works, and just doing the different task through the cards. And so it's basically just flipping cards over and looking at the symbols, and that's going to be successes for you or not. So that part might not be as interesting to people, but I like it. I like the decisions on what cards to play and how to play them and all that, which ones you want to kind of keep for the ability to be able to do these tasks well, or to be able to keep it for the text and all the the actual reason that you can use the card. I guess I'll say that. I don't know the better way to say that. But anyway, I really like this game. The funny thing is, I don't think this game has made my top 50 at all. And
I thought it had.
It definitely did not last year,
Okay.
at least the list that I'm looking at. It may have the year before, but I don't think so. And it's not that I've played the game. I have played it over the past year, but it's not like I've played it a ton over the past year. It's one of those things that I just find myself really wanting to explore this game even more. There's a new expansion that was announced recently. I love this game. I really, really enjoy it. But I like the Lord of the Rings lore, and this is my favorite.
That's what I was going
of
to
the
ask
ones
you.
that
How
I've
much
played.
do you like Lord of the Rings? Are you like a huge Lord of the Rings fan, or just like it's pretty good?
I mean, I've read the books and I enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I really, I like the movies.
It's
I
not.
like all
It's
of
no
it a lot.
Disney for you.
It's apples and oranges, man.
What are you talking about?
There's apples and there's oranges, and they're different.
All right. Number 44.
I can like both, right?
That's your number 44.
Yep. It's a great game.
All right, number 44. My number 44, like I just did back-to-back earlier homie games. I'm going to go back-to-back classics now for my number 44, and that's Carcassonne. And I've got pulled up here the Carcassonne Big Box 6. That's the version that I own. And the reason I pulled up this is because, first of all, Carcassonne is a simple game, right? Draw a tile out of the bag, place it. You get points for the cities, for points for how long your road is. Gosh, if I could talk. And that's fun. It's fun that I can introduce Carcassonne to anybody. There's a reason that it's a classic. I need to go back and look at what it's rated right now.
It is 184.
Okay, 184. There's a reason that so many people talk about this game, that it's on so many lists, and it's because it's a brilliant design, right? It's just absolutely fantastic. But here's the thing: if it were simply just the base game, it wouldn't have made my list. And I say this every year when I put it onto the list because it's just not enough meat for me on the bone for what I like in my style of decisions, right? Like this game can be very interesting and very thinky. It's just the way I like to make decisions. Because I get people argue with me about this, like, yeah, but I mean, this is like a brilliant game. Chess is easy to understand how things go, but you can move it a lot of different places. I get that. I like it when you're adding the extra expansions a whole lot because it adds just those layers of grueling and difficult decisions that you have to make in this game. And when you start adding those, though, it can get pretty thinky.
Yeah,
a little crunchy. Like, man, I got this, I got that, but it's not too much, And I like how you can add a little at a time.
I love Carcassonne a lot. It's not on my list, but it's a game that I really.
Wow, I'm surprised it's not on your list.
I play it a ton. I don't know. It's just not up there, but. The thing I like about Carcassonne is that you can have as much player interaction as you want. Like I play this with people. Like if my wife and I play this, we don't often like try to go and try to take over somebody else's city, and we still have a really good time playing that. I think it's more optimal when you're playing with higher player interaction. But it's okay if you don't, especially for the type of people that you're playing with. And I like that. And not all games offer that. Some games it's like you have to do this, or you don't do this at all, but like that in between is not that common.
Oh, there's no way that I'm not getting in on your city. That's how I played the game. If you have a problem with it, you know what you can do?
Oh man.
I'm just telling you. Like if you don't want to play, if you don't like that, then get out of my Carcassonne.
Flip the table.
Absolutely.
Throw the towels at your face.
44,
right.
Carcassonne.
Now we're getting into my 43, and hopefully I'll be able to do a better job of explaining this than I have at the other ones. But so in Small World, this is essentially just an area control game.
265 overall.
Where you are, that's right, 265. And so basically I'm going to take a stack of tiles that represent a specific race, and then they have a power associated with them. So if I go through and I take all these spots, I might be able to get more points if I land in this location that's a mine, or I might be able to take out an extra one of your people, or I might be able to have extra people or something like that. But every race and power that you combine is going to be very different than what John has, right? And so that's really cool. The biggest part of the game is like the funnest part, I think, is probably figuring out which races and power combination that you want to take. Add in all the expansion, and the opportunities are endless. I mean, there's so many different combinations with those, and there's different maps and things like that. But the gameplay itself is pretty simple. Then you're just going to lay those out there and then count up the points that you have. I know people are, kind of over Small World maybe, like, oh yeah, that was fun when I first started playing. For me, I still like it. I still really love this game.
That's how I feel about it. I do think that it's fairly unique the way that the player powers work and how, like you were talking about, how you match them so it's not just the same thing every time. I really do enjoy that about the game. It was one that really did help make me excited about the hobby. Like, I got in. When did this come out? 2009, yeah. And I remember playing it going, wow, this is fantastic. And I played the crud out of this game. I still enjoy playing the game. It's not a bad game. There's just other games that that have usurped it for me.
Yeah.
If I want that style of a game.
You know what's weird is I find myself, especially when I look at these apps that I have, and I'm like, what are the games that I keep going back to that I want to play?
This is
like,
one of them.
I have a ton of apps, but like Small World's one that I find myself playing all the time. Seven Wonders is another good example of that. Like, I'm thinking if I want to play it that much, I need to have it rated pretty high, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but also the physical copy of this, I like playing this 2-player, but it's great at a higher player count too.
There you go.
Anyway, Small World.
That's your number 40. What are we at? 43, right? All right. So my number 43 is another Stefan Feld game. How about that, Dean? You may see that even more on this list. Rialto. How about that? New to my list this year. You don't like it?
Oh no, I like Rialto. It's just
You're just stunned.
It's just funny that like our tastes are so different in Feld games. I think unless you have like 20 games on your list.
Ranked 10, 86 overall, 6.9. So this would probably be. I'm going to guess this would be the lowest rated BGG, one of them at least, if not the lowest in rated games on BGG. This is one that so in this game it's really fun. Like, you have stacks of cards, if I can pull them up. So you're going to pull up like 6 stacks of cards. You're going to shuffle them, you're going to lay them out. And yeah, on YouTube, y'all, I'm trying to find some pictures of it, but sometimes it can be difficult. But you're laying these out, and then you're having to first of all pick which cards, there we go, which row of cards or column, of cards that you want, right? And then, which is tough. It's all that classic Stefan Feld, like, oh man, I want this one, but I want this one. I want that one, but I could use that one. And then you go through these different actions, and play cards, and whoever played the majority of cards there, you go around the table, whoever played the majority get a bonus. And then on top of that, you have all this little like area majority action going on in the middle of the table. You have buildings that build you a small engine. I wish the buildings part was a little cooler. I really do. But what I love about Rialto is that it's just one of those like almost like not quite gateway level games, but just a little kick, kicked up a little notch. I've been playing it with like my wife's family a lot, and we all just love this game. There's just that Euro feel to the game, but the excitement of like an Ameritrash whenever someone flips over and goes, I'm playing 2, and you're like, no! And so it like adds that, it like combines that, and then the area majority, like a lot of pieces I like in games, it adds them all together in a mid-weight on the lighter end Euro. And I just love this game. I just love it. Dean's only played it 2, so he can't talk about it.
No, I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I can get an idea of whether or not this would make my top 10, and even playing it at full player count, I'd be surprised if it makes my top 10.
Your top 10 of Stefan Feld games. Is
correct. Yeah, top 10 of Stefan Feld. Yeah.
I just like it a lot. I need to rate a little higher. If you're looking on YouTube and see my ratings, sometimes those just kind of move around a little bit. But anyways,
well, that's a good point, because some of these
that's
games
John's ratings on YouTube.
I've rated high, but they're showing up lower on the list than something that I rated lower. That's just the part of the fluidity of this reviewing process, right?
It is.
My number 42 is a game that kind of surprised me.
Wow,
when it showed up on there. Quacks of Quedlinburg.
It's because you just played the other night.
It is, but then I realize every time I bring this game out, I'm like, I love this game so much. I always have so much fun playing this one.
And so does the world, because it's ranked 68 overall.
That's right. It is rated 68. This was also the Kenner Spiel des Jahres winner in 2018. That's a connoisseur game of the year in Germany. And in this game, it's a bag builder, and basically what you're going to do, and push your luck. Push your luck is a big part of this game. So you are drawing out these different discs out of your bag. You're putting them into your little pot. And your cauldron, and which is a pot. And then if you bust, so if you look at the white tokens, I know you can't all see the screen, but there are these white tokens with numbers on there. If those numbers exceed 7, then it's going to explode. Everything's going to blow all over the place. You got a huge mess all over your dining room. It's awful.
That would be cool. If like something happened and all the pieces went poof.
That's right. But pushing your luck is too far is not terrible, especially early in the game, because all that means is now I can either get points or I can get the buy and the buying power.
And you can make up the points.
Later in the game, you can't. Like, you don't need to explode later in the game, but early in the game, you could totally do it and be fine. But I love it because it's like every time you draw a disc out of the bag, you're like, yeah or no, and everybody's cheering, and it's just good times. And that's just the base game. Now I do have the what is it called? Herb Witches or Herbal something like that. Yeah,
the Herb Witches, I think.
And then there's the Alchemist. I've not played the Alchemist one, but just the base game alone I think is fantastic, and I really, really love this game. It is a lighter weight game, 1.94, so this is a good entry-level game for people who might not play a lot of games, but even if you do like me, you can still love it.
This is my 13-year-old son's favorite board game of all time. We really do love it every time we play it. You know, it's not really close to my top 50. It might make my top 100 maybe, probably not, but it's still a very solid, excellent game.
Yep.
So
fantastic.
It's good stuff.
Lots of good fun.
All right, that's your number 42. My number 42 is out of this world. So far out of this deadgum world that we're terraforming Mars.
Oh my.
What?
I think if you're going to dog me for putting Concordia in my, 40, whatever number that was, and you're putting Terraforming Mars at 40 something.
You don't remember the number again, do you?
2.
42. That's right.
43.
This is probably
2,
one of the
42.
games that has fallen the most for me in this list.
Ranked number 4 overall of all time.
That's right. It was really high. So, in this game, the really great parts about it, it's on my list, dude. Top 50 of all time. That's pretty awesome.
That's what I said about Concordia, and you slapped me.
Yeah, I know. Well, whatever. In this game, what's so cool is you're all working together, right, to raise the temperature and to put the oceans out on the board and to raise the oxygen level, and that's kind of cool. So
it's a cooperative game.
Yeah, that you're working together, except for you're not, right?
Oh, boy.
You're fighting against each other.
And
this is games of bloodbath. It's a corporate bloodbath.
It is.
Because you're corporations and you're out there vying for positions on the board. But really, the big piece about it, and I love the way the board works in this game and how you're trying to get like parks adjacent to cities and stuff like that, and other opponents are trying to do the same things. I like that part a lot. But this is really, the crux of this is card play, right? And the card play is so simple yet deep. There's so many cards in this game, and yet the simplicity of it, when I say simple, is it just tells you what to do. You gain this and lose this. Gain this production. You know what I mean? And so it's simple enough to where I've gotten people who haven't played a ton of games have actually played this game with me. I love that about it. The challenge to why it's dropped a little for me is, I guess, Johnny Old Man, I just don't have time to play this that much. This game can take depending on the player count and who you're playing with, this game can take a really long time to play.
You can just play
because I'm not a
Ares
lifestyle. I'm not a lifestyle Terraforming Mars guy. So I don't, and I'm not playing with people who have played it a million times either. Yeah, dude, the Ares Expedition is good. I told you when we rated that, it could be on this list versus this because it is that snappier, peppier version of the game. I feel like I've shied away from games like that in the past, but now, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just the time of my life. I'm starting to go, I understand why people like the little streamlined versions sometimes.
Like Quacks.
Of what? Streamlined of what?
Quacks of Quedlinburg.
What is that a streamlined version of?
No, it's a streamlined game. It doesn't have to be a streamlined version of something, but streamlined game. Here's what I think, John. This game is our future, I think. This, the game of corporate greed and taking over Mars, we're living in that world right now.
True.
Where they're going to be, hopping on an unfortunately shaped rocket ship, going into space and terraforming Mars, maybe in our lifetime.
You just wanted to get that in.
I did. My goodness. What were they thinking? I know what they were thinking.
There's a meme out there.
There's a lot of memes out there, actually.
All right, so that's my number 42. Still really enjoy Terraforming Mars. It did slip a little bit for me this year, but excellent game, and I understand why it's people's number 1.
41 for me is a game that's probably been on my list every time. This is ranked number 191 overall. That is Arcadia Quest.
I've never played this game, dude.
I'm in the middle of it. Hey, if you look it up, you can see some of my minis on there. I actually did post some of my minis. This was one of the first games that I painted. That is definitely not it. No, yes, that's much better. Arcadia Quest is, I mentioned, I'm playing a campaign as we speak, not right now, but I'm in the middle of a campaign with some friends, and I just reminded how much I really like this game. But basically, in this game, you're going around and you are attacking each other and also attacking the monsters together, but really, you want to be the guild that is the champion at the end of one of these scenarios. It's campaign based, and so when you get to the very end, whoever lands the last blow on the final baddie in the game is going to be reigned victorious. Okay, in this game, we've played 3 games so far, and it's a 3-player game. We're playing a 3-player game, and we've all won 1 game so far. And I felt like I was really far behind initially, but I'm catching up now. I'm building up my character. So basically, you've got 3 characters, and you're also there. It is. Those are mine.
No, seriously?
Yeah, those are mine. I made those.
Good job.
Well, I didn't make them. I painted them. But the
screen
coolest
for a
part about this game is that if you go to the next page, there's some more of mine, I think. But the coolest part about this game is that you're building up your characters. So like you get money and you can buy things to boost your character. You can buy weapons. You can buy like these items that will give you a boost, like a permanent boost, and it's just a lot of fun dice chucking type game. Yep, those are mine too.
There you go. Look at this. This is don't get this every day.
You don't get that every day. There we go.
Look at Dean's minis every day.
Dean is not a great mini painter, but you got to admit, like it's better than having great minis, right?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay.
Stop downplaying.
Arcadia Quest number 41. That's I think the second game I painted.
So that's the end of your list today.
Yep.
So that's the end of this. All right. So 41. The end of my list is a bloodbath.
Nice.
Faux show.
Is it Arcadia Quest?
Blood Rage.
Why is this not your number 1 game of all time?
Are you tipping your hat?
Maybe.
Tipping your hand?
Maybe not.
That would be the term, right?
It has been my number 1 game every year that we've done this list.
Oda hat. Yeah, so in Blood Rage, it really is a bloodbath. It is a card drafting game, and as you draft cards, you're going to be upping your stats. You're going to be able to get cards that will help you in battle, right, Dean? All kinds of different things. And maybe even getting more monsters that are crazy and huge looking and draw you into wanting to get those, and then you're like, it's really not that great.
That's exactly right.
Every time.
But I still fall for it every time.
Dude, I did that with the Sea Serpent last game, and I didn't need it for my strategy, and I'm like, what in the heck did I do? Like, what was the point?
A dang sea serpent.
But my sea serpent looks really, I won't say it, on the board.
I will say the troll and the sea serpent from the base game are probably my favorites, I think.
Yeah.
More even than the fire giant, which the fire giant looks really cool and is powerful, but I don't usually get that one because it's so expensive.
So I played this week or last week. So this is super fresh on my mind. I enjoyed the game for sure. I like the card drafting. I like how, hey, you're going to have to battle. Like, you're not just going to sit on your side of the board and do nothing unless players are terrible.
That's right.
You've got to battle. And the game shrinks as Ragnarok starts taking off more provinces and stuff as the game progresses, which is really cool. Why this game doesn't go, why Dean, I know he's like, why is it number 1 and all this kind of stuff.
Which I'm kidding, by the way.
Yeah, but I will say this about it. This game has the 1 person or 2 people, you can get beat down.
Yes.
If there's new players, you might lose 150 to 30 or something like that. And so that actually turned me, it soured it a little bit because we had a friend that we taught this for the first time, and he plays games, Matt, our buddy Matt. And he was doing well the first round, and I was really impressed. I was like, dude, he's doing better than me. He's going to do really well. And then just the tables kind of turned on him, and he basically had no chance, midway through the second. So he basically played half a game where there was literally no way unless we were really dumb and handed him all the Loki cards or something.
Did he like
that.
it? I never asked you that.
I could tell that he liked it a lot better at the beginning when it was more competitive. And then I think it kind of he said he liked it, but I think there was maybe a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth as the game progressed. So he said he wants to play it again. Also, the other challenge, and this is not a fault of the game at all, but with introducing it to new people, if you know the cards, you're going to kill everybody else because you just don't know what's going to happen. And as much as you say, hey, there's probably this or there's a card that does that, and you try to help people out, you will get absolutely destroyed. That's no fault of the game.
It's not. And that's, any card drafting
I was just saying
game
that for
is
people
who
are introducing it.
Yeah.
That's no fault. I mean, if you play it, know it well, you should whip them.
And you might kind of highlight some of those cards whenever you're teaching this one for that very purpose. But
it's still a great game. It's still really fun.
Did you didn't play a painted version of this either?
No, we played my version, so it definitely wasn't painted.
You should paint your version.
We played it at 4 last time, so
yeah.
There you go.
Love Blood 41. Rage. And I get that. I totally get what you're saying about it being you can just demolish somebody. This game can be tight. I've played tight games of this, but I've played games
absolutely
where you beat somebody by more than 100. And I that doesn't bother me. Actually, now that I think about my top 10, I've got maybe a few games like that where you can just absolutely demolish somebody.
He just likes to destroy people. It's
no. I go ahead and tell you, I'm the one being destroyed in all of these games.
It's ranked 33 overall.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's people who love this game for a reason. It is a very good game. Yeah, it's probably my most thematic game on my list for sure.
Oh my.
Right?
I've got lots of them.
I don't know. I have to go back and think about it, but I don't have very many thematic games. So there we go. That's our top. Go ahead, lead us out, Dean.
50 through 41. And so what we're going to do is every week we're going to be releasing this. And so next week we're going to have our 40 through 31. John, tell people how they can get in touch with us.
If you're watching us on YouTube, we would love for you to subscribe. If you're listening to us on the podcast, go ahead and write a review. We'd like to even read it on the air. You can go to @Meepletown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to check us out on social media. If you'd like to support what we're doing, you can go to patreon.com/Meepletown. We're also Board Game Geek Guild 3407.
Thanks for coming down to Meepletown. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our Patreon supporters for making content like this possible. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/Meepletown. To follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, find us @Meepletown Games. Finally, to connect with us and other residents of Meepletown, you can join Guild 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com. Until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.